Andy from Backbone Adventures here, ATV and Jeep Rental Company in Estes Park. Today we're going to talk about frame damage and frame stiffeners and frame braces. For all you new side-by-side buyers out there or current owners, you go and you buy your machine, or you go to the store to outfit your machine, and you're buying light bars and stereos and tire carriers and bumpers and arm guards and a bunch of all that stuff, and that's all good. But if you're not looking at frame stiffeners, you're not looking at the weakness of your frame. That should be priority number one, especially if you ride aggressive, or there's a possibility you could hit a tree sometime with a tire, or roll it over, or it flips over, and then the opposite tire catches on the ground, bends up your frame. So currently we're running Kawasaki KRX 1000s. We've run the Terex 4s in the past. We run the Razor 1000 XP premiums. This just got back from Moab, so it's pretty filthy. But we'll start. I want to start with the Polaris with the XP here. So we've run the 570s, 900 trails, 900 sports, 1000 sports. All of them we had major frame damage all the time with those things. Very weak frames. Even though they had weak control arms, the frame still took a hit. Did a lot of frame replacements on those. The XPs, I talk a lot of trash on Polaris because of their clutches and transmissions, but the frames on these XPs have been amazing. Running these things for quite a few years, and we'll see each machine in our fleet get rolled 20 to 30 times in a season, catching trees on tires and shoving the tires way back in. No frame damage, none at all. And a lot of that is all because they have weak control arms. This lower control arm is pretty weak, and that's a good thing in regards to that anyways. So this is an aftermarket Tusk, which is a little bit more stout than the OEM control arm. But if you catch a tree with a tire or roll it over, you'd rather want this to break or bend than the frame. I was at a power sports store the other day, and they were showing me this the new RZR Pro with the 4-cylinder motor in it, and the control arms are just massive, huge, and they're talking it up and just look at that, look how big it is. And what I'm looking at is the frame, and those control arms are bigger diameter than the frame, which means the frame's going to take the hit. So the Canam X3s, big control arms. You get into the Pro RZRs, big control arms. Kawasaki's, pretty stout control arms, where the frame ends up taking the hit. Now on these 4-seat XPs, one thing you're going to have if you're going to buy one of these is you got to have these Tomahawk braces right here. This is an aftermarket part, costs about $100. Buy them online. It's Tomahawk. Reason being is the frames crack right here after pretty soon in, even without rolling. It's just a stress point, and these braces are absolutely required on a 4-seater. But I don't care what anybody says, don't worry about them on a 2-seater. We got 2-seaters with 10,000 miles on them and rolled 30 times, and ain't no damage, ain't no cracking going on. So, but for the 4-seaters, it's a must-have. So that's up on the 1000 XPs. These Terex 4s, if you have one of these, they make some frame stiffeners here. I wouldn't call them frame stiffeners. Here's one here. It's more to protect your dog ears from ripping out of the frame if you roll or catch a tree on a tire. We've had a lot of these where we didn't have these on and it just rips the dog ear off, and that's a real pain in the ass to fabricate one of those and weld it into place and get it straight. Now, these are supposedly there to keep that from happening. I don't know, that remains to be seen, but in these particular, this is the new 2022 Terex 4S. And there's another brace on the back here. This is pretty cheap. I'd advise putting them on, but it didn't do any good in this situation. This machine went over, rolled one full roll, and the frame is bent here and here. It's bent in this way. So now we're going to have to take everything off, heat it up, quarter power it back this way, and run some cross braces in there to get it all back to straight. Now, in this Terex 4, and even the old Terex 4, same thing. This is where we always see the damages on this frame piece here. What we did in the past was we took 1/4-inch steel from the front, steel plate, cut it to fit all the way along the bottom and then down along this edge to about here, one solid piece, and welded it into place. After we did that, it didn't matter how many times those machines rolled, we never had a frame bend here, which is important. That's the hard part to fix. But what happened at that point, once they started rolling, is they started cracking over here. And this is all pretty weak support stuff here. So that's what started happening there. So we started running braces, cross braces here from one side to the other. And, you know, it did us a little bit better. But basically, you know, you strengthen one thing, they start off with pretty strong control arms. This upper control arm is small, decent diameter tubing, pretty thick steel, double shear type stuff. So it's you know, this isn't going to bend. What's going to bend is going to be the frame. And in this particular one here, you see what this upper A arm did to this dog ear here, bent it up and kicked this part of the frame in that way. So not only just the bottom took the hit, but up here as well. So now we got to bend all this back, fabricate a new dog ear back into place, because these didn't work. So don't expect that to be a frame stiffener of any kind. It's not going to do the trick. They're just very weak. That's the problem with the Terex. Is the only fix to it is to fabricate your own bottom 1/4-inch steel plate, and then you're going to have to do something up here. That's on a Terex 4. And again, it's because the A-arms are so strong. On the KRX, again, you have some pretty stout control arms, but there's a pretty big gap between here and there. So we're hoping that this will take the abuse. This will take the hit. This will bend. This will crack, break, whatever, before the frame does. To guarantee that, though, we put a frame stiffener in here, Super ATV frame stiffener, which has some protection here for your dog ears. This goes from one side to the other, and then from here over to here, somebody's calling me, damn it, and then in the back here, and then of course the whole piece there, hopefully to keep that frame from tweaking if a tire catches a tree or it rolls. We have had one pretty decent rollover on this that was pretty violent, and nothing happened, so that's a good thing. But if you're gonna have a KRX, you need to have that frame stiffener. That's an absolute guarantee, because these control arms are just strong enough that it's gonna take the frame out. I'm concerned about the top up here. I'm concerned about when this tire catches a tree, that this could potentially get bent up in here. So we're contemplating something up here, maybe a piece of steel that we weld from one side to the other to keep that all straight. But time's going to tell on that one. The big thing, like I say, on these things is going to be, you know, you look at some of these machines out in the market and you think, oh, it's got this big, huge, beefy control arms, and that's a good thing. But if the frame isn't stout enough to handle the impact, then what's the point? I'd way rather replace a control arm than I would a frame any day of the week. So, you know, one of your first purchases for your vehicle should be some sort of frame stiffening. And if they don't make one, then maybe you should not look at that machine, like the Terex 4. If you're going to just tool around in it, hunting this and that, not ride aggressive, you might be okay. But Canam X3s are bad. You go to any power sports dealer and they're going to have frames stacked up out back, ready to go for the frame damage. So hopefully that helps. If you're out buying or looking to rig up your machine for so it can handle the abuse. Also on these KRXs, they have a skid plate issue back here. You need to put an aftermarket skid plate on them, and I would suggest that on just about anything. If you're riding in Rocky Mountain terrain like we do, I would have a skid plate on there. Super ATV makes a 1/2-inch one, and we actually have a stack over there. We've already rigged up 8 machines with them. This particular machine caught a rock, not very hard in there, just enough to where it bent it up, hit the transmission, cracked the transmission. So that's why it's out in here. and that's a big expensive job because the cases are cracked. You need specialty tools for these KRXs, so something to take into consideration. Four seaters definitely need them because they get four-seat razors because they definitely get beat up big time with that. And those X3s are damn near 14 feet long. You definitely need skid plates on those. So the point is, you're buying a machine, you own a machine, you know, put your stereos near your bumpers, do all your toys, but don't forget the important stuff. And don't be just looking at A-arms and saying, oh, those are beefy and badass, you know. If the frame can't support it, it's the next weakest link is what's going to take the hit. So if the arms are good, next thing to go is going to be your frame. So get that frame stiffened up and do what you got to do on that. Hope that helps. I got a lot of years of experience with replacing frames and rolled machines, man. That's what we do here. People are riding and wrecking every single day, and so we see all these issues. So if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in there, and hopefully it didn't offend anybody for the machine you have, but I'm sure it's good for private owners. Anything's a good machine, I think, and most people respect their own stuff. These are rentals. They don't get respected. They get abused, but you know, hopefully that helps you protect your machine longer if you pay attention to those important things. Thanks, and have a good day.